trigger happy and I give less than a fuck. Love me or hate me, I'ma show enough, rip shit up. It's Mr. Nothing, nice on a mic stand. Mic in the left and the zest in my right hand. I took a puff, had enough now, hold up. If that was Indo, niggas getting rolled up.
What's going on, folks? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the sold out edition of MGK's Tickets to My Downfall album. So I'm basically still on very much good terms with MGK, and I wanted to cover like the rest of the package towards MGK's Tickets to My Downfall, because that was such an enjoyable, even now that that record's now 2 years old, I still find it as the highlight of the past several years. I definitely feel like MGK did a good job with it, so I wanted to cover this bonus edition to see what some of these bonus songs are kind of about, and just kind of see about that, because MGK back in March put out Mainstream Sellout, which was kind of a sequel to this album, Tickets to My Downfall, and then he, on top of that, put out a sold out edition or a deluxe edition of Mainstream Sellout. So that's like 3 more MGK projects that I need to review, and I wanted to see what's up with this. Now, this sold out edition comes with 6 extra songs, one of which is a cover of a Paramore song, and then one is an acoustic of a single that he dropped before. But I do kind of feel like this package has a decent kind of vibe about it. I almost wish that it would have had a single. It's actually pretty surprising that MGK chose not to overly promote Tickets to My Downfall, because he wasn't really there that much in 2021, but it felt like that was kind of his breakout year in a lot of ways, where he did drop the singles from Tickets across like the middle of 2020 and such. But I really feel like this was an album I definitely give Tickets to My Downfall, that it had the popularity, just because for the most part albums kind of disappear within like the 2 or 3 or 4 weeks after they come out, but this is one that definitely had a lot of staying power. It went platinum like a year later. That's not something that people talk about very much nowadays, is an album selling 1 million copies or 2 million copies and going platinum. So I think Tickets to My Downfall actually went double platinum. So I give MGK credit for coming up with like a nice pop punk revival and helping edge that out in days where bands like Paramore and Blink-182 and Green Day and folks like that were not quite as dominant as they had been like 12 or 15 years before that. So this is kind of the concept that MGK kind of, a lot of folks said that he revitalized rock music, and I wonder to the degree as far as saying that, but he definitely has distinction. I'll give him that pink image, and the fact that most of the albums that you see with Tickets to My Downfall kind of have like a pink aesthetic to them. I give him credit to be able to kind of cover such a thing and kind of have the characteristics. Because MGK, he has his hair pink, he's got the tats, he kind of feels like if Kurt Cobain were alive in 2020, just a more youthful and kind of powder keg version of him that has more tattoos and also was into rap a whole bunch. I'd probably say that might be something that you have with MGK, but he definitely has the rock personality figured out. So to kind of translate to how some of that would actually happen, I would say these 6 songs, just to talk about them, like I said, there's no single, so I'm just going to go in on these. So Body Bag is basically the most up-tempo of the new songs on here. I definitely appreciated it. This is a real nice kind of, like, Wikipedia says that the song is similar to Dance Dance by Fall Out Boy, and I can agree with that in some cases. It does kind of have a similar pitch, but it is an original song on its own. Just like the overall kind of jivey, kind of more quicker vibe about it. Just felt like more of a breezy and kind of more driven kind of song. But I appreciated Youngblood, who collaborated with MGK on his breakout single I Think I'm Okay from Hotel Diablo, and then there's Burt McCracken on there. So it's just kind of, it's definitely good on there. I feel like MGK's verse was maybe a little bit too short, maybe, but most of these songs all have the variation being less than 3 minutes. I mean, for the most part, MGK does not really go in on these songs. Not like go in like he didn't try, but just they're snappy. So that's just kind of the situation. But I do feel like MGK's verse should have been longer. Hangover Cure is a nice kind of mellow and this probably had the best beat on here, at least in terms of like best kind of beat on here in terms of punk rock music. Easy kind of dicey and kind of flirtatious bickering kind of song, just real kind of easy going about that sort of stuff. So I would have to say really did appreciate the kind of mellow kind of but still bluesy and kind of electric kind of feel towards it. It's just kind of like, easy kind of, I mean, these are when I look at Tickets to My Downfall, I look at days where they kind of bleed into each other, where you're drunk Thursday and you're kind of coming off of that drunk Sunday, something like that. Those kind of vibes where they just kind of seep into each other, and you're hanging out with these women for 2, 3, 4 days, 5 days, even through work and some of that stuff. So it's just kind of interesting to kind of get some of those songs. This, there's not a ton of albums that kind of have like the mellow kind of just go to work, you know, hang out with folks on the weekend, just kind of having a more, not so much just about getting money, but just kind of, I mean, really, it's just lackadaisical how much this album just kind of at not just the bonus package, but Tickets to My Downfall is more kind of focused on like the social kind of mingling aspect more so than your career and getting forth. I mean, MGK even says on the regular edition that he'll grow up next summer. So it's just kind of, it's interesting to kind of get these that are just purely about like revving your wheels and more recreation and that type of stuff. So it's just, that's the song for that. Split a Pill is more of a breakup song. This is another one where I felt like this one kind of feels more like you're getting ready to go out for the night, getting ready to have a good night, that type of stuff in your car, driving to the place where you're going to be, that sort of vibe, and it just feels like it's going to be a good night. Maybe you're walking there in some cases, doesn't really matter, but it's just easy, kind of gets you pumped kind of song, even though it's a breakup song, and it just kind of feels like you know and it's just interesting because like I said in the review from last year of MGK, he is not shy about his drug use, so it's interesting to kind of just have a song because it's not like, I don't know if Metallica and like Green Day and some of those folks would necessarily have a song just called Split a Pill. So that's another thing that makes MGK stand out, is he just plain says, let's split a pill and that's it, we'll go our separate ways. It's kind of like hell, but it's interesting to kind of have that happen. It is a good get you pumped kind of song. Can't Look Back, I didn't enjoy that one too much. Didn't really like the arrangement of how the melodies in there kind of turned out. I don't know, it kind of felt like a song where this was another kind of breakup song, but I didn't quite enjoy this one as much. The genetic, or just the makeup of how that went. And then Misery Business, I would have liked, I mean, normally I like cover songs. I kind of feel like it could have been, but I don't know, like the concept of how that was supposed to turn out. It just kind of felt trying to make a male version of Misery Business by Paramore. I mean, it kind of felt like more of an effeminate song. I don't really know what MGK was trying to do with that song. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely an emo like pitch point. It's definitely one of the more flagship emo songs and punk kind of songs and such. But I almost wonder if it would have made more sense to have done like a song that just did not have so much kind of feminine spice to it. I mean, I kind of feel like maybe that was the point. MGK did that just because Haley Williams had a lot of spice kind of in what she did towards it, but I don't know how it works from a male perspective. But I don't know. It's one of those situations where you'd have to wonder. I mean, I need to kind of know more in the subject to be able to say what I would have recommended instead. But somehow, maybe he could have done Linkin Parks in the end or something like that. Just one of those. You really wonder about it. What could have been something? But for what it is, it's a decent attempt. But it's not a song I'd listen to very often. I'm not going to say it's terrible, but it's not up my alley. And then the surprising most kind of like just has a lot of pull and kind of like wrenching to it is like Bloody Valentine acoustic. I mean, Bloody Valentine was a pretty up tempo and kind of jivey number that you could almost dance to, but the acoustic version of that is just so damaged and kind of dark and semblant, and it just kind of feels like it's just I think that's the word, semblant. I'm not sure. Sometimes I just spew things like that, but I want to say semblant is kind of what it is. But just to kind of say it's just a very kind of damaged song. It just turns that record into something where it goes from like a song just kind of like a spunky kind of bickering kind of song and kind of spicy argument to like something where it feels like, wow, this is, you're out of here kind of thing, that's it, sayonara type thing. And it's just kind of like, it's surprising that MGK turned two variations of a song just with doing an acoustic version. Definitely has fantastic instrumentation. I really felt like it's a really kind of dark and damp and just a really kind of dark and befuddled and just overall swamped kind of record. I was surprised by that. So that's just kind of the thing. I'm going to give this record me liking 4 songs. I'll go ahead and list the 4 songs for you out of 6 on this new edition that I enjoyed. Body Bag, Hangover Cure, Split a Pill, and then Bloody Valentine acoustic. I feel like all 4 of those are just great. and you might actually find some more in addition to that. And just to kind of, just in case you didn't catch my tickets to my downfall original review, I would say a couple more hits off of that. I'm not going to review the whole album again, but I will say some of the hits from the original package would be Drunk Face, Bloody Valentine, My Ex's Best Friend, Kiss Kiss. Those are some real good ones that I felt like are just kind of in that same aesthetic of kind of like a real social night out, whether you're going to work, just across a series of days, just between Wednesday and Sunday night, just having those same kind of vibes of just the weekend kind of stuff, the work hours, putting in hours, that type of stuff, going out, seeing some women that you're looking for, going out to a bar or restaurant, that type of stuff, smoking in the backyard, just plenty of situations. So it does have that kind of pretty just pedestrian kind of vibe about it. That's why I feel like this album's good in a lot of ways. Not the main reason, but a decent reason for it is just how pedestrian it kind of is. So I'm going to give this album, or with this new expanded edition, I'm going to go ahead and say me liking 4 out of 6. I'm going to give it like a 7 out of 10. Just a solid 7. At least this package. These 6 songs, the sold out edition, I'm going to give it a 7. Me liking uh, 3/4. Like, what am I trying to say? 4 out of 6 is 2/3. Yeah, 2/3. Trying to figure out what I'm trying to say. 2/3 of the project, 2/3. That's what it winds up being. 2/3 of the project, 7 out of 10. And I really kind of feel like it's just execution. If you combine that, like, if you still haven't bought Tickets to My Downfall, this would be the edition to get, because Tickets as a whole is pretty good. I think I wound up liking about over 2/3 of that project also. So some of those hits I just listed for you on the original edition, in addition to these, just make this the version to go and purchase if you haven't by now. But either way, I just feel like that's just kind of the concept. Just easy to get the sold out edition, and then realized I ranked that a 7 out of 10. I think I ranked like the original edition a 7. I don't remember. It's been a while, but that's just kind of the situation. So I would have to say, in terms of the future, oh yeah, the social score. The social score pretty high, just because I'd probably say it's about an 8 out of 10, even though MGK only put out like 3 bare singles. I know he could have promoted it more, but he kind of had his foot out the door and was ready for new things. But a lot of these are very festive and social. This is a very social project in a lot of ways, very much kind of like ruminating and kind of more forensics type stuff. So that's just kind of the things. That's the situation. And I would have to say, in terms of like the future, MGK dropped an album back in March, and then he dropped the deluxe edition. So there is more stuff of MGK if you like this kind of style from him. So yeah.